is your hookup. Hello and good day, no holds barred maniacs. I don't know if that came out right or not, but it doesn't matter. What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of No Holds Barred Wrestling Podcast. I'm Bobby Melendez, joined always by my tag team partner, Josh Kimmel, the Kimmelnator. What's up, brother? I see. What is
dashing?
Up? Yeah,
dashing. Look, Cody Rhodes returned. He got me inspired. So dashing Josh Kimmel has made his appearance. I can't wait to hear that in the comments. Thumbs up for the mustache. Listen, my son thinks it's the most hilarious thing in the world because if you watch Nickelodeon at all, you'll know the show called Henry Danger. He came out with a movie recently. My wife loves Captain Man. That's her crush. Out of all people, a Nickelodeon star. So they watched it, and one of the bad guys is Captain Mustache. So now I'm mimicking Captain Mustache, and my son thinks it's the hilarious thing ever. So that's why I'm keeping it for now. So it'll be gone by Monday.
It'll be gone by Monday. My wife hates the mustache. I've tried. I told her I really want to do this. You know, have the mustache kind of goes like this. So I'm thinking, I'm like, you know, she's like over my dead body. But I wondered if I did it, would she really like limit? You know, but I go like this. I'm like, you know, that's you got the Hogan thing. Hogan goes
right. Listen. I'm the heel of this network. Like I am. Like I embrace it, right?
Sure.
Josh doesn't like this. Josh gets tired of guys. Bobby comes on my fantasy show Monday and tells me that I move on from players like too fast. Like he knows me. I'm like, wait a minute, homie. Like I kind of have older players ranked pretty high, but it's cool. But
still holding on to that part, did you?
But I was like, all right, I'll let it go because, you know, but no, I don't know where this is going or where this was going, but let's steer it back. Because we have, I'm not going to lie to you. Wrestling has been kind of dull this week, for me at least. I mean, I said this on Real Talk Wrestling on Finn's Talk Extra on Thursday night. If you don't know what Finn's Talk Extra is, it's our second channel, our, I guess, sister channel, they would call it, where all the extra stuff goes. We have new episodes. We're a growing network, and you can catch my wrestling show, Real Talk Wrestling, with Miami Clutch PE and Chris Koffler. We talk about, you know, wrestling as it is. We talked about NXT and Joe Hendry and TNA and that connection. We talked about the AAA debacle, them spoiling Monday Night Raw on Monday Night Raw. So go check that out too if you enjoy my wrestling content. But tonight we're talking Money in the Bank. The good and the bad, the history of it, all of it. There's been a bajillion winners. It started in 2005. There's been years where they gave out 2 in 1 year for Raw and SmackDown. That was a disaster. And the women started around 2017. So we're going to break down the good and the bad. We'll get into some Bully Ray comments, some idiotic comments he made, of course, on his radio show, which we'll get into. No star power. Give me a break. If we have time, we'll talk about the AAA show. And if we're going to watch it on YouTube. So, Bobby, Money in the Bank has been, in my eyes, the second best pay-per-view of the year since its inception. It's a great concept. I miss it being at WrestleMania, but I think this is a big three. I think there's WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, Money in the Bank, and I guess you could argue Elimination Chamber, whereas Survivor Series has kind of fallen off. So how say you, where would you rank the Money in the Bank concept or pay-per-view in your eyes?
Oh, well, the concept, it's pretty high for me. It's still pretty high just because of the spots and the excitement and the intrigue and the surprises. The PLE, it's not rated high at all. I don't think there should be a PLE based off that alone. I think I'm with you. I would rather it be like a special condition match at a WrestleMania or something of that nature. That's where I stand on it. I miss it being at WrestleMania. Dane Josh missed out on an opportunity to eat dinner and while doing the show. Okay, so I just said this to Josh before the show. The reason why he's saying this, what's up, DSG, is because Fish Tank Hank on Finn's Talk today was at an Italian restaurant having Parmesan chicken, and so chicken Parmesan, and so that's why. But he did get the stash, DSG. He has the villain stash, the heel stash. He has it, the porn stash. He's got it all.
Yeah.
He's ready to go. Whatever we need him to do, he's ready to do it for the content, for the views. And but no, yeah, that's I'm not a big fan of the PLE. I am a fan of the match, but not the PLE.
Yeah, it needs to go back to WrestleMania. Make it feel important. Have the men's on night 1 and the women's on night 2. But then some would say, well, that takes away from WrestleMania. WrestleMania should be about the showcases of immortals. It shouldn't be just ladder matches taking over the whole card. So I understand that as well. But I do think that it does need. I like it this year where there's no championship on the line, no John Cena, no Jey Uso. They're not defending their titles, so it makes these ladder matches even more important. Seth Rollins has said he's going to join in. I think I told you this or Chris. I can't remember which show, but I'm like, I said Seth Rollins is going to win Money in the Bank. And someone said, it doesn't make sense, yada, yada, yada. I forgot who it was. It could have been even in my real life, like offline. So
he don't remember anymore.
But
it wasn't me. I know that. I don't remember that conversation.
Right, hold on. I'm circling back. All right. This makes Seth Rollins and his story the most important thing on this show now. It's focused on Money in the Bank. So I think if you're going to have its own PLE, then I don't think we should be defending the titles. You said last week you're upset John Cena's not defending the title. Do you still feel that way going into this pay-per-view? PLE?
Yeah, because I'm very disinterested in that tag match, Cody and John. And I think Cody came way back too soon. I think he came back too soon. And I think him and John Cena interacting again is way too soon. I hope that's not the match following this. I really don't. I hope they injure the hell out of Cody again in some storyline fashion. He's out again for another couple weeks. Let him do a couple more podcasts with Brandy Rhodes and do all that, because you better not steal a CM Punk John Cena match, because I want to see a heel Cena with versus CM Punk. I'm trying to see who are qualified so far, because Seth Rollins is there. Penta, LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and I think we have AJ Styles, CM Punk, and someone else in the next qualifying match. That is the one that was announced yesterday. Let me see if I could find that very quickly. Americano. So there's that triple threat is coming up. Punk, Styles, and Americano. That's the triple threat coming up. It's a qualifying match. So it has to be CM Punk, right?
So Punk, Americano, and who did you say?
AJ Styles.
Styles? Oh, man. Do you really want to risk putting Punk in this kind of match where he's always injured all the time?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
I'll tell you why I do it. That gets me Cena and Punk. Because I don't see Punk sneaking a unless it's unless it's somebody other than that. Because he could do it against Seth Rollins. If Seth Rollins was to win it, the world championship from Jay, he could sneak and take a win and steal the belt. But he also says, "Hey, I'm not even going to sneak this. I want to face John Cena," and cashes it in, and you have John Cena versus CM Punk.
Okay, now you're talking my language. So, because you're right, ever since CM Punk's come back, ever since the rumors of John Cena coming back for his last run, CM Punk always mentioned John Cena. John Cena, I see you, ever since the beginning. CM Punk's mission statement since joining the WWE way long ago, returning to the WWE, I should say, is to win that World Heavyweight Championship or the WWE Championship. And every time he gets there or is about to challenge for it, someone gets in his way. Securing this briefcase is now securing his spot. He can hold that sucker all the way to WrestleMania and say, I'm headlining WrestleMania. This says so right here. I'm getting my main event World Heavyweight Championship match or WWE. He could do that. Or he could say, I'm taking on John Cena at SummerSlam. See you there.
Yeah, I could, where Cody's, it could be a moment where Cody's like, I want you one-on-one right now. And all of a sudden, here comes CM Punk. And he's like, hey, you're going to have to wait because I have rights. I'm the one with the briefcase. You know, I don't want to see a triple threat. Don't want to see that. I want to see John Cena versus CM Punk. Let that happen. You know, if Cena wins, so be it. Then you can drop it back to Cody or drop it to CM Punk, you know, and kind of go from there. I don't know. But my pick right now, I know spoiling that, is going to be CM Punk. If CM Punk wins this triple threat, which he should, it's CM Punk.
I 1000% agree. And DSG, I'm not going to acknowledge your Goldberg versus Cena question mark because it's bad. We can't have that. Cena wouldn't approve of that. He doesn't want to get hurt. Cena's not even taking bumps. And by the way, we will get into the best and worst of Money in the Bank right after this statement. I am so sick of every single John Cena television appearance, Raw or SmackDown. Him coming out, talking trash, yada, 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 things break down, Cena takes a finisher. Every single show, this man's taking a finisher. Every single show, John Cena's laid out. When is John Cena going to beat the hell out of somebody? As a babyface, why would you ever fear this man? He does nothing. All he does is get beat up every single episode. That's how SmackDown ended. I watched it. I went out of my way just in case we talked about it. Boom, Cena, Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso hit the Cody on him, lays him out. Or did they lay him out? They laid somebody out with that.
Logan Paul.
But Cena got the cross.
Yep.
Every time. Cena's never once been on top. It's just I just want to point that out.
What's going on, Maria? Appreciate you tuning in, Maria. Very cool. What's up? She says, "What's up, fellas?" We appreciate.
Well, now we're talking about Money in the Bank. Edge was the first winner ever in 2005,
and maybe the best.
In the way he cashed it in, Bobby, changed wrestling forever. I've never seen anything like that before. I don't think you've ever seen anything like that before. Were you watching live at the time? And was it the best? Was it the best cash in ever? I'm just going to ask right off the bat.
I know a lot of people will probably say it's not CM Punk, Seth Rollins, because I mean that's right there. Seth, when he cashed in at the end of WrestleMania against Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, it was the shock moment. I mean, and he stole it. But, and maybe that's just me being, an oldie. I don't know if you want to call this, but yeah, it is. It is the best win, and the best cash in was Edge. That's what. Yeah. Mick Foley at WrestleMania. That hardcore match, and that's rated R superstar. But that's what made him the rated R superstar. That's what set him to be on that Hall of Fame GOAT status type, or that was that moment right there. So there's a lot of good ones, right? And again, Seth Rollins is there. He's there. But Edge, being the OG of the Money in the Bank, is the best Money in the Bank winner and cash-in of all time.
Oh, the best. You're saying he's the best winner too. See, I think the best cash-in and best winner are two different things. And what I mean by that is Edge may be the best cash-in ever. Like, I'm not going to argue that. There's other up there as well. I think RVD stands a chance at that because of the situation and because of the match and because of the environment he was in. That adds a lot to it. Told John Cena or wrestling, one night stand. Bottom line. But Seth Rollins, dude, middle of WrestleMania, only one person in the history of the world called it beforehand. It was me. And if I was on this network back then, I would be telling you guys that. It was phenomenal. It was one of the greatest WrestleMania moments of all time.
I said it's right there. It's right there.
But Dolph Ziggler. Are we forgetting Dolph Ziggler?
No, we're not forgetting Dolph.
Dude,
Dolph is
that
there.
was such an amazing
cash-in. You mean the cash-in?
Yeah, the cash-in.
Yeah, that was great against Alberto Del Rio, right? And I mean, but just the win itself, when he did it, it wasn't, I mean, the energy, you knew at that moment it meant something. When he went with the song, his theme song, when he screamed and the song went with him, it was just like, and then of course AJ Lee and Big E, in the background just cheering. It was like, it felt real. That's what's great about that moment. You're right. I get it. Right. You're right about like, hey, are we forgetting Dolph? No, we are not. And we shouldn't. I mean, that was an epic cash in and an epic victory. And one of those moments where it felt real. It felt great, yes. But I think because he was the original and the way it was done, and you thought like, oh man, that's it. The match is over. And all of a sudden, wait a second. Nope. Edge is cashing in. And oh, this is what a cash in is. This is what this
Yes.
is. Holy crap, it worked. Now that's why, to me, anytime, and which I'm okay with. I'm okay with not always knowing what's going to happen. I prefer that. But there's a lot of times where the guy who wins or the girl who wins, who's like, man, should they have won? Was this the right choice? And then they lose when they try to cash in, and it's like, see, that was a waste of freaking time. Like, that was a waste of time. That, so that was the moment I knew that's what it meant. And then the RVD situation, one night stand. That was the first. Like, he was like, I'm not going to cash this in. I'm not going to surprise you. This is going to be a one-on-one match in my home turf. I mean, the energy, the feel, having that opportunity, winning the WWE championship in the ECW arena, that was a special moment. And that was the other win, was like, hey, yeah, you could cash this in, but it doesn't have to be a surprise. It could be a match. And that, yes. So but here's my thing. Notice that for a second. Those two, and I don't know, there was no Money in the Bank back then, right? Did he win that at WrestleMania, Dolph Ziggler, or was that at another PLE? Do we remember?
I cannot remember. Did not do my research on that one, guys.
But a lot of the best, it's okay, but a lot of the those two were at WrestleMania, and that's why, like, to those Money in the Banks mean so much more to me. No, but that's my thing. I agree, DSG. That's what I'm saying. Like, I prefer. I'm down with that. That not every cash in has to be successful, but I mean, my goodness, I mean, if you go to like who is it? Baron Corbin, I think, was one.
Yep. Oh my god.
Baron Corbin, Otis lost it before he even got a chance to try to cash it in. Like, those are the things that you go like, what was the point? Like, I would rather like a bigger name do it. Like for instance, let's say a Drew McIntyre wins the Money in the Bank, and he's carrying that briefly to go, damn, dude, damn well when Drew cashes in, he's gonna win. And then also he cashes in and bam, out. Doesn't win it. Then I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'm okay with that. I'm talking about the ones that you're like, what are we doing? Why did that person win? Like, I don't know if that makes any sense. Forgive me if I'm not.
No, let's get into that. So 2010, Jack Swagger wins. That was one of the biggest flops in WWE because I guess he wasn't ready. They were pushing him and he just wasn't ready. Chris Jericho even said himself, like, I don't know why they put it on that guy. He just wasn't ready. He didn't become a big superstar. Not a lot of these guys, like Damian Sandow won. Totally forgot. When I was doing my list, I'm going, Damian Sandow won Money in the Bank? Are you serious?
I was watching those. I was like following back up on those, and I'm with you. There's a lot of them like, that guy won, and Sandow. I remember that, and you know who should have. Then I put like, who should have won that one, and 2013. You know who should have won that? Cody Rhodes. That should have been Cody. Back then, that should have been Cody. That would have been. You had it right. Where do you go? Where was it? Where the mindset of like, Sandow was fun. He was entertaining. I'm not gonna lie about that. He was fun as Mrs. Shadow. The stupid things he would do. He's a great entertainer. He's a good low card, mid card guy. I don't know if maybe mid card's a little high, but low card guy. Enjoyed watching him on TV. I liked when but Money in the Bank. How are we supposed to take Money in the Bank seriously with a Damian Sandow as your Money in the Bank guy? Where Cody, he doesn't have to win that match, but he has the pedigree, the last name. We know who he is. We're going to be cheering him. He's a great bad guy at that time or before. It just, I don't know, dude. That was
That was the worst one ever. I think we could all agree the worst one by far was Otis, 2020, the COVID year. When they announced that it was going to be inside the building.
I hated that match. I hated that.
Oh, yeah, that was terrible. But I will say this. When they announced it was going to be in the building, I'm like, okay, cinematic matches are in. Let's see what they do with this. Let's see what they do. Otis was the last person on my mind. I was never an Otis fan. When she was with Mandy Rose, with Tucker, I just didn't like the comedy act. I don't like much comedy in my wrestling. There's a couple that can do it well. Santino Marella, R-Truth. Listen, I'm not the Chris Farley, always a fat guy that's funny. That's not me. That's not my comedy. For some it is. Otis is a comedy character, and they thought it was a good idea to put one of the most prestigious awards or titles on this man for what? Nobody thought he was ever going to win anything. Nobody ever thought of anything. Like, that was the biggest waste. When you say they win it and they lose, it's a waste of time. No, Otis alone was such a waste of time that whole year because Asuka won that year too for the women's side. The very next night, Becky's like, "Oh, I'm having a baby. You get the title." Make it a big deal. Make it announce that Becky was pregnant and she put the she vacated the title. So this is for the title. That would have made it so much more important instead of Asuka does all this. She has a chance to win the title. Then the next night on Raw, oh, I'm having a baby, and they hug. That was one of the worst decisions that year. I don't know what Vince was doing in 2020 with COVID. I don't know, but that was trash, Bobby. Did you see any of those highlights on your video you watched on the research?
Yeah. It was funny. I went year by year here. Like, okay, in 22, Liv Morgan, she won. I thought that was, I put that in the good column. Best, that was great. Worst, Austin Theory. Not because he's not talented, not because but like they totally mishandled that whole situation. And I was like, who should have won that? Seth Rollins. That should have been a Seth Rollins win. You go, 21. Big E won. That was awesome. That was great.
Yep.
Deserved. It was a great moment too. It was like, whoa, here he comes. 2021. Nikki Ash, ASH. There's like, and she won the title for it, so it meant something. But you had Liv, Naomi, and Asuka at that point. I would have been better off. Otis, yeah, he's highlighted, he's double highlighted, he's triple highlighted, and I like Otis. He's fun, entertaining. He's the comedy act. It's cool. And then he eventually lost that to Miz, by the way. He didn't cash in. He lost it to Miz. That's the other thing I just freaking hate with a passion. Trying to, I'm going to tease it. I never do it. Now I lost it. AJ Styles should have won that one. 2019. Bailey won that.
Yep.
How many times did Bailey just win it one time? I think she did.
One time.
She cashed
no woman has ever won it twice. Yeah. Okay. Bailey cashed in that night.
That same year, you had Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Finn Balor, Mustafa Ali looked like he was about to win. And that was when Sami Zayn, and then here comes Brock Lesnar. Now, I have him in the worst column because he didn't need it. He could go in whenever he wants and get a title shot. I love the surprise. Don't get me wrong. I'm full disclosure. I pop like a motherfucker. Like dun dun. Oh shit! But at the same time, it's like, you could have Drew McIntyre, Randy Orton, Finn Balor could have won that. Should have won that, and it would have been just as good. Braun Strowman, he was hot back then, right? There was a lot of people who were behind him.
Mm-hmm.
Not much me. That should have gone to Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe should have won that. Samoa Joe was way hotter. Braun Strowman, as cool, as good as he was in that point in time, and the train behind him that they were pushing him.
Yep.
I never really got behind that. It was a cool pop when you hear that, okay. But Samoa Joe was the real deal. He was the one that was really getting in Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar's head. I mean, that moment between him and Brock, they had that epic one match, Great Balls of Fire. That they should have continued that. Samoa Joe should have won that. Imagine Samoa Joe teasing cashing in, because Samoa Joe, that dude could win. When he cashed in, he's going to win. That should have been. They had Alexa Bliss win that year. That was fine. 2017, both those winners, Carmella and Nakamura. Ugh.
Nakamura didn't win 2017. Baron Corbin did. No, Baron Corbin did.
Oh, when did
Nakamura won? Nakamura won the Royal Rumble around that time.
Oh, maybe it was Corbin. I thought it was Nakamura.
No, that was Baron Corbin's year. Nakamura's never won.
Really?
Nakamura's never won Money in the Bank. And to answer your question, Maria,
what did I watch?
Jinder Mahal never won Money in the Bank either.
No, Jinder Mahal didn't. No, that was a regular match. I know that. But
yeah, Mr. Kennedy lost his briefcase to Edge after Kennedy did something stupid, I think, in backstage, or he got injured, I believe. He was doing a lot of stupid things. But he lost his briefcase to Edge. Remember that? So Edge has had it twice. It's just, I really feel like it started off hot, right? Great concept, just like everything. Hell in a Cell, War Games, everything starts out fun, organically, right? It's awesome. Look at AEW, for example. The first Anarchy in the Arena match, so much fun. Now, flash forward to 2025, they have to play the music every year. They got to do this every year. They got to do this every year. It's like, guys, just because it's May doesn't mean we need to do this kind of match. So that's what Money in the Bank became. It became SmackDown's going to get one, Raw's going to get one, and it's going to mean nothing. Like, do you remember Alberto Del Rio's or Daniel Bryan's? Do you remember Randy Orton's? Do you remember Sheamus's? Dean Ambrose's? No, you don't, because they were just meaningless. Because there was too many briefcases on the show. There's too many. When you have two, it devalues it. So I'm glad back in 2014 they went back to just the one, and that's what it should have been the whole time, because it's too many. But I think it's a fun concept. I do wish they would move it to WrestleMania. They do need to make it to a marquee match, but then there'll be a women's match too, Bobby. Then that's too much, right? That's way too much for WrestleMania. Two of them? I don't think that'd be fair to the show.
You have 2 nights. We have 2 nights at WrestleMania. 2 nights, 2 Money in the Banks on 2 separate nights. I mean, I think it's fine because it is WrestleMania. You know, I used to love watching the triple tag team TLC matches. You know, I don't think it takes away. I think it adds to it. That's what WrestleMania is. You know, I replaced that with the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. Why the hell do we have that? What does that mean for a wrestler to win the money? You know, the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. What's the reward? Like, I did it. I have a silicone statue. You know, come on. You know,
I got an idea.
Yeah.
I do have an idea. No one's going to like this idea, but they would like it because it would work. The Olympics, right? It's once every 4 years. You don't have the summer and the winter both in those 4 years. Why don't we have 1 year where we just have the men's Royal Rumble? And in that same year, we have the women's Money in the Bank. And then it alternates. The next year, we just have the men's Money in the Bank and the women's Royal Rumble. It makes it so much more important. And you have less of like guaranteed title shots. And it lets things breathe. It really would break up the monotony of, oh, well, they won it in 20. There's too many briefcases, too many Royal Rumble winners. There's too many main events of WrestleMania. Too many of them. I think that would really break things up if you just said, you know what, this year's the men's time to have the Rumble. Next year's the women's time. And you alternate, because they're both, what are they in the end of the day? They're just number one contender matches. They're just, that's all they are. So if you break it down to make them important.
So if you had the men's Royal Rumble, then you would have the women's Money in the Bank. So that would replace the other. And then the year after, you have the women's Royal Rumble and then the men's Money in the Bank. Okay. I get that. I think that works. I mean, you know, you keep it at 1.
I mean, I think fans complain when things are too complicated about wrestling in general. So it might confuse the fans. Like the AEW Continental Tournament, where it's round robin and people don't understand pools and they play, everyone wrestles everybody. It's not single elimination. American wrestling fans can't wrap their little minds around that. It's too complicated. So this might be a situation where it's too complicated for regular fans, casual fans. Hey, why is there no women's rumble this year? You know, oh, well, you know, if you don't watch it enough, you wouldn't know. So that might be my only problem, but that'd be a new problem. Once it happens every year, fans will be bred to know. So give it a chance, people. And get rid of the tag team titles. We only need one. As I'm solving all the problems for wrestling. You're welcome.
1,000%, Maria. I'm right with you on that. IWC. Forget the IWC.
Imagine a year without the men's rumble. Yeah, DSG, we'd have the women's rumble. And it'd be special. It would. And we would go, who's going to win? Vakir, you know, Rhea Ripley, Mercedes. By the way, best wrestling. Mariah May. Best wrestling segment of the week was Mercedes Moné and Toni Storm. Just want to throw that out there. If your son hasn't watched it yet.
He hasn't. I did read what she said. You know, something about filling holes or something. I don't know. But I'll have to look into that.
I can't wait. I can't wait till that match. So it's gonna make me want to buy All In, and Mercedes better win.
Ugh.
Dude, she's the best women's wrestler in the business today. Not even close. Not even close. Never heard of them. You've heard of Toni Storm and Mercedes Moné.
I've heard of Toni Storm. I know of Mercedes Moné. I know her as Sasha Banks. You know, it's like a force feed every time I turn that on. The just fucking around. I'm sorry. The let me ask you though. You and I haven't talked, and I know you probably talked this with Chris and Clutch, but I'm going to ask you because what do you think of Joe Hendry losing the TNA title to Trick Williams?
I think it's a bad move.
Really?
I think it's bad. They say, well, Joe Hendry. They told me this. Joe Hendry, he's big. He's on to bigger and better things. He can afford a loss, right? He can go to WWE. He's going to sign to WWE. Okay, so every time we've seen Joe Hendry on WWE television, he's taken losses. 1, 2, 3 to everybody. Randy Orton, okay, that's understandable. That's Randy Orton. But when your TNA championship can't be the developmental talent, self-proclaimed developmental talent, they say they're developmental talent. When your TNA World Heavyweight Champion cannot beat a not even a rookie, a college player. Like if you talk about in the football terms, you can't even beat a collegiate athlete. That's bad, man. So when he signs with WWE, oh look, that's the guy who can't beat Trick Williams, the developmental guy, with the song. To me, it makes him look weak. And you can say he's going to sign with WWE. That's fine. He might get over it because in today's world, we sing everybody's song and we cheer them. Everybody's a star, which we'll get to later. But Bully Ray, how do you feel about it?
I was a little put off by it because I think it should have been the other way around. I think somebody should have won the NXT title from TNA. I think that would have been a better rub off and would have made more sense just because, hey, Stardust was the AEW champion.
Okay. He was never the AEW champion.
Never
brother.
was. No, he was a TNT champion, I believe. That's something I want to do. I've been doing this with my son, Chris Van Fleet. I think I pronounced his name right. He has some on Twitter where he posts like who was this wrestler, and he'll put all their world titles. And there are some ones that he misses. You know, like R-Truth, he didn't have the NWA title on there, and I think Kurt Angle didn't have the TNA title. So it's like, but I loved it because I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, wait, he's been around really too long. Like I'm saying, European WWF Championship all the way to AEW Championship, and I'm like, who the hell is this guy? He's been everywhere. And then all of a sudden go, oh, I know who that is. It's a fun game. I think we'll start bringing that on here, kind of our version of that, just throwing up the titles and seeing if Josh could figure out who it is. Because if I'm doing, I already know who it is, so it's not fair. So anyway, no, it did rub me the wrong way because of what you're saying, and because not disrespect. No, don't mean any disrespect to, with all due respect to Trick Williams. I'm like, who? That's how I felt. The TNA title, for those who don't know, this is a belt that's Joe Hendry, Nate Namath, right? Those guys. We know who Dolph Ziggler is. That's Nate Namath. We just talked about him. But Kurt Angle, Sting, AJ Styles, Jeff Jarrett, Samoa Joe. I mean, go down the list of wrestling greats who've held that belt. It should be held higher esteem. I don't mind the idea. I like the surprise factor of it. I like that, hey, no title is safe between these interpromotional matches. That's what that does. But again, to me, it should be the other way around. It should be, oh crap, Joe Hendry or Nick Namath or whomever just won the NXT championship, and I was bringing that over to TNA. Or someone, think of someone else in TNA or NXT. Like you said, you basically picked a student, not even a rookie, because they're a rookie when they're on Raw or SmackDown, but a student, winning that belt.
Mm-hmm.
It just, I like the surprise. I'll say it like that. It made you go, whoa, what? But then you sit down back and think about it. You're kind of like, so yeah.
I wonder what if it would have been a veteran. No, if it would have been a veteran, like how they brought Baron Corbin down and he tagged with Apollo Crews. Not saying someone to their level because they're a little bit low. Like
if they had Baron Corbin, that would have been I would have been down with that.
If they had the guts, which I don't know how they could work this, but they have the guts where AJ Styles is doing nothing. Turn him heel. Say, hey, we have this thing with TNA going on. I know Joe Hendry's going to show up to NXT, or I'm gonna be down there and show him who the king of TNA was, and he can go there and take the title from Joe Hendry. What an awesome story that would be then, because AJ Styles is credible. He's a real professional. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a TNA Hall of Famer and a WWE Hall of Famer. That would have been a great story, because now you have a TNA legend holding that title. He can show up on TNA television. Y'all know who I am. I'm AJ Styles, the guy who built this place. And that would have been a story. Then Joe Hendry wouldn't have looked so stupid losing the title. Then we could have had a real headlining feud on our hands if WWE actually cared about pushing TNA. Someone said in the chat earlier, WWE is just burying TNA. And honestly, they're doing it every single chance they get. It would have been so much cooler to see like a veteran of TNA do this instead of some random rookie. Not even rookie.
Not even a rookie. Again, I think the AJ Styles thing is a great idea, and I'm 100. He even did the voiceover. He did the voiceover promoting that match and promoting the TNA title, talking about what he did in TNA, who's held those belts. He brought up all the legends who've held that belt, and then he's like, and now it's this guy, and it shows Joe Hendry, and Joe Hendry drops it to Trick Williams. Again, I don't mind you dropping it to anybody, to anybody WWE or NXT, but Trick Williams was not it. I don't know. Maybe he surprises us. Maybe maybe there's something that happens from this. But I don't know. I love the AJ Styles thing. I want to see AJ Styles back on TNA television, especially during this quote unquote partnership of WWE. That it's just really cool to see him on the Impact Zone, doing his thing. And like you said, I would love that. Imagine seeing the TNA championship on SmackDown, walking in and all of a sudden here comes Joe Hendry on the Attack, or Dolph or Nick Namath or whomever.
Yep.
That would be pretty cool. But TNA is limited to NXT.
But let me tell you something. We, as an AEW fan, been watching Forbidden Door for the inception of it, and it's boring every year because we know no one in New Japan's winning the AEW title, and no one in WWE AEW is winning the New Japan title. It never happens. It's always booked like super, super obvious. So this is cool. When it finally happens, we sound like the IWC. When it finally happens, we're complaining about it. But
I'm not, like I said, I'm cool with it. I love the idea of it. I love the surprise, but I don't love who it went with, because it's kind of like, again, you brought up, I can't repeat I'm just going to repeat what you're saying. So in regards of Trick Williams, and I'm not hating on Trick. I think he has a bright future ahead. I like him. I just don't think he should have been the guy. Again, Baron Corbin is gone, but you brought up Baron Corbin. If Baron Corbin was still in NXT, if he was to do it, I would be okay with it. I would think that was awesome. You give him a world title run. He's been there. He wrestled Kurt Angle at WrestleMania. That's somebody you could do that with. Trick Williams,
I
don't know.
Vikingo's getting a lot of screen time. You know why? Because he's awesome. And about a year and a half ago, all you people in the IWC was making fun of Vikingo and all these flippy-floppy guys. Now they're coming to WWE. Now everyone likes them. It's really weird,
I still don't know who that is. It's the guy with the hair, with the bald.
Vikingo?
Yeah, he's that guy. The one who keeps popping up on TV all of a sudden.
He's the Viking luchador.
Oh, okay. I haven't watched.
He wrestled Kenny Omega on Dynamite like a couple years ago.
Oh, that's why I don't know who he is. Okay, I'll find out.
You'll find out who he is. We'll find out. We'll get there if we have time. So, Bully Ray, which I know you're a fan of, so I'm not going to put any words in your mouth, but I am not. I'm a fan. Okay, I'm going to say this. I'm a fan of Bully Ray. I'm a fan of anyone getting on the radio or this medium that we have and saying how you feel, whether people are with you or without you. That's your opinion, and you have the right to do it. And if you have an audience that listens to you, then you must be doing something right. So again, nothing against Bully Ray. I'm actually a fan of Bully Ray and what he does. Be that as it may, he says a lot of dumb things. Like he says, in my opinion, some of the dumbest things that you can say as a content creator. His recent one after Saturday Night's Main Event, basically paraphrasing this because it's a very long quote. He thinks there's a lack of major stars in pro wrestling. Nobody is the guy or the girl. The business is suffering because of it, and no one's wanting to get the job done. Nobody wants to be the main eventer, and no one's going to believe in the company if there's no main eventer. So that's what he's basically saying, paraphrased. in an era where literally everyone's a star. I can't believe he thinks this is a real thing. I don't know if he's watching professional wrestling right now. I don't know if he's watching the full shows. When people come out, Cody Rhodes last night on Friday Night SmackDown, he came out there and he talked and he gave his speech and this and that, and John Cena, right? He gave the whole theatricals. And then when he was announcing his partner, oh, I have a surprise for you, the entire place blew up because they knew Jey Uso was coming. Jey Uso got just as big a pop as Cody Rhodes did. You're telling me there's no stars in this business. When Drew McIntyre comes out, he gets his biggest pop. When Roman Reigns comes out, when a manager comes out and gets that pop, and you're telling me there's no stars in this business, what is he watching? Is he trying to compare it to Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock and Taker back when there was only 50 TV channels? Right? But I just can't understand his concept. Look, there's not a lot of people watching wrestling these days. There's other things to do. There's football, and those all have been on. But guess what? Now there's more channels to watch them. I could watch FSN1. I could watch this. I could watch that. I could watch IDC Killers things. I could watch whatever I want. So in that point of view, in this era, there's never been bigger stars in the entire company than right now in the past 20 years. Period. Bottom line. So I don't know what he's thinking. Go back to 2010. These guys weren't as big as these guys are now.
So
I'm done.
No, so I get your point. I do. Or your reason why, like, what the hell is he talking about? I think DSG hit the nail right on top of the head. It harkens back to the brass ring era. Old school guys want that one top dog. I kept, as you're talking about this, because I'm sitting there and I'm listening and I'm kind of like, I'm thinking Jey Uso, CM Punk, Randy Orton, those are stars. Those are guys. I mean, we just said Joe Hendry. Those are guys. But as you're saying that, and I'm thinking that's a lot of guys. And what I'm thinking, what he's saying when he said, because I don't know if you're reading verbatim what he was saying, but if he's saying like, nobody wants it, all this, what I'm thinking exactly what DSG is talking about. He's talking about that one top guy, the guy that you see on top of the card that, you think back. Yeah. Cody was there, right? That was Cody. I think Cody was that guy. He does that. Roman Reigns for 4 or 5 years was that guy. He was the top dog. He was the superstar. There's a lot of stars in wrestling right now. A lot of fan favorites, a lot of screaming fans singing their songs and this, and this. Yeah, there's a lot of them here. But who stands out of that crowd? Who's that one guy that is like, he's the standard bearer? He's the guy that we're all, that carries the machine. Is that maybe that's what he's talking about? I don't know if there's one guy right now. There's a bunch of stars, but who's that superstar? Who's that one guy? It's like, that's must-see TV. That's the guy that when you see his name on the card, you're like, I'm watching that. I mean, John Cena was that one time. John Cena, you had haters, you got lovers, you had everything, but John Cena, you knew damn well was the standard bearer. Roman Reigns for a while was the standard bearer. He was the superstar. They were the superstars. They were the megastars. The Rock, Hogan throughout that time was that guy. Love him or hate him, he was that one guy. Everybody else was just other. You had the Ultimate Warrior, you had the Macho Man, you had Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, all these guys, but Hogan was the pillar. Hogan was the lead dog at that point. You think of the Austin era, Rock, Undertaker, Hart, whatever, but Triple H, whatever, but Stone Cold Steve Austin was your guy. He was the top dog. He wasn't giving up that spot for anyone. And if there was ever a time he was not involved, he was always looking in the shadows. And whenever he came back, he was right back in that spot. I think that's where he is. Yeah, what is Maria saying? If everyone is a star, nobody is a star. I think that's exactly. Brock Lesnar was that. Sure, Brock Lesnar was that guy. Bruno Sammartino before Hogan, that era. So I think DSG hit the nail on the head. I'm glad he brought that, because as you're saying that, and I'm like, holy crap, it's so true. How could Bully Ray say this? Because right now, if you're watching wrestling, there's guys going, that guy doesn't know how to wrestle. Yet the IWC hates Jey Uso for whatever reason. They hate on Jey. I saw an awesome moment the other day on Twitter when Jey Uso, he brought this little girl, and this little girl looks at her dad, and they start going yeeting, and the whole crowd's yeeting. I'm like, what a moment, dude. Like, Can you imagine having the crowd in the palm of your hand, thousands of people in the palm of your hands doing your thing? And they're saying, oh, and they're loving on you, and you're seeing this, and all of a sudden you go to the internet and I hate Jey Uso, he sucks. That's the IWC. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a lot of those guys. They're singing Cody Rhodes' song. They're singing Jey Uso. They're singing Rhea, Randy, all these people. But there's no guy right now that's the superstar. That's the standard bearer. Right now, Cody dropped his belt. And now, like, that's why, like, when I heard Cody's like, and oh, here it comes, I didn't go, oh, shoot. I was kind of like, what? That's too soon. Is there a guy right now that you could say that? No, there's not.
There's not.
There's not. And maybe that's by design. I've never seen Cody's shirt in real life either.
I had a Young Bucks shirt. Can we put it on DSG? I'll wear my Young Bucks shirt the next show.
My son has a Cody Rhodes shirt. And then he regretted it after we sat down because I told him there was a Randy Orton shirt there, and he's like, what? And he was mad, but he has a Cody Rhodes.
Okay, so
does that make sense? I mean,
it does. It does. I want to rebuttal. So first, I want to touch on DSG's comment. Cody is not water cooler talk. Sorry. Well, that's the problem in this day and age. The wrestler isn't the attraction; it's the carnage. What do we talk about the most? Oh, did you see Chad Gables get his head dropped, almost die? Oh, Adam Cole almost died. Oh, did you see that guy get a syringe in his mouth? Oh, did you see Jack Perry get set on fire? The moments in the matches and the moments in the carnage, that gets all the attention nowadays because that's what drives social media. Negativity and shock factor. Also, second point, 1990s. Derek Jeter was the face of baseball. We all knew it, right? Late 90s, early 2000s. Watch baseball now. Who's the star? Who's the star of baseball, Bobby? Who would you say the star of baseball is?
Ohtani from the Dodgers. Shohei Ohtani.
You would say that because you like the sports. I can go ask my...
I'm not a baseball guy. Don't shit on my... You asked me...
But you like the sports.
You like it just because you like sport. Well, damn. Okay.
I can go ask my wife, who's the face of baseball. She would have no idea. She could tell me about Derek Jeter and Michael Jordan. She could tell me about...
I know what you're trying to say.
No, but the thing is now, these leagues and these... Yes. Do you think WWE is ever going to allow anyone to become bigger than a WWE? Like Rock or like Austin. It's kind of like they're kind of leveled off because WWE goes, oh, we're the big dogs here. We're WWE. You guys work for us. And I think that's a real thing because it even came out where rumors, you can look this up, where Vince was very like, I don't want anyone to be as big as those guys because they would have too much control and we're the WWE, we're the standard. That's a real thing. So could that be it? Or could Bully Ray just be stuck in the past, just like every other wrestling podcaster, Kevin Nash, Eric Bischoff, and they just shit on everything because they're jealous because they're not there. That's what I think it is. I when I listen to Bully Ray a lot, I go, man, he's just so bitter. Like he's just so, and that's just not Bully Ray. It's a lot of these guys, Kevin Nash as well. Like they're just so bitter because they're not in the game anymore. He's sitting there shitting on, sorry, Bobby, LA Knight for doing his thing when he should be praising these guys. And Bully Ray should be in the same situation where he's in the media. He's coaching these guys. He's in there. He should be pumping these guys up and giving them thoughts instead of going, man, you guys are just aren't stars. What does that do for the company? What does that do for the business? It tells me the business that you're working in is on a decline. So what are you doing in it to make it better? Nothing. Just talking about it on the radio.
Well, that's what he gets paid to do. I don't think those guys. We got to remember too where those guys came from. Kevin Nash never was, or Bully Ray, that superstar. They were never that standard bearer. They were stars. Bully Ray was never. He was a star, and he was actually a world champion in TNA, but he never was that guy. He wasn't the guy you bought tickets to go see. I mean, he was a match that you look forward to watching on the card. Hey, the Team 3D or the Dudley Boys. TLC, WrestleMania, they put some of the greatest moments. He's one of the greatest tag team champions of all time, and one of the best, one of the best minds, in my opinion. I love listening to him when he's talking because it's education. Kevin Nash, I mean, he was a world champion. He killed it in WCW. I mean, he's the one who made the most money with Scott Hall and what he was able to do to wrestling and make it in a reality TV era. I mean, he had a lot to do with that. I think they know they're past their prime. Honestly, they can't do it anymore. So, they call some stuff out. It is what it is. When you're not in the game, you can only talk about what you know and what works. And they're in the era where, there was one guy. There was usually, everyone else was there, but then you had that one guy and you were chasing him. When it was Bubba Ray Dudley's time, that it was Austin and Rock. It was the Stone Cold Steve Austin was that guy. When it was Kevin Nash in WWE, it was Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart. But look where that got. That was the weakest era. A lot of people say, as much as we love those guys weren't. Before that was Hulk Hogan, and that was the red hot era. That's what lifted WWF into superstardom. Then it wasn't until Austin came around where that lifted back up. And WCW, that one guy, in spite of everybody, was Hogan. Then it was Goldberg. Goldberg was the guy. He was this t-shirt seller. He was the one who was selling tickets. I don't see it as a hate thing on them or nothing like that, or them. I just think that's the way they see it. That's the era they came from. And I don't know if it's holding back or trying to hold it back. And you said, can we see TKO or WWE letting a guy outgrow? First off, it's bad for business to hold anybody back. You want that guy. You want one of your guys or girls to become bigger than you and you got them on a contract. They're loving what they're doing. Roman Reigns was that guy. Cody Rhodes became that. Rhea Ripley is close to doing that, or is in a sense. So to me, no, I don't see anybody being held back. I don't think WWE by design is saying, okay, we're just going to keep everybody right here. There's a couple people up. We're going to keep everybody right here. That way you don't become bigger than us. That way.
That's exactly what they're doing right now, though. Like CM Punk and Drew McIntyre and all these guys are on the same level. Like you said, Roman's like a little bit up here. And I feel like Cody, CM Punk, like they're all on this level. And then from that level, like there's just 3 levels.
Because guess what? Everyone's the same. You have a former standard bearer, someone who was that guy. He was professional wrestling at one point, which was John Cena. John Cena, we always say, what do I say? The 4 pillars of wrestling, the ones who have it where it was. You got in WWE at least, you had John Cena, Steve Austin, Hogan, Andre, whoever you want to call it, Bruno, whatever. You had the 4 guys there. Mm-hmm. John Cena was right there. Roman Reigns is there. But John Cena is there right now. They're giving him his final run. That's why everybody's kind of here. This is John Cena's story this year. That's what that is. Jey Uso is a world champion. But does Jey Uso feel like a world champion right now? No, he doesn't. He doesn't. He's second to John Cena. He's second to that story. Everybody is second to that right now. Because before John Cena got there, it was Cody Rhodes. Before and after, Cody Rhodes. Before that, it was Roman Reigns. The wrestling world, WWE, revolved around Roman Reigns. Even every other match back there, in that corner over there, they had their own story. We have, Drew versus CM Punk. Even Roman Reigns had influence over that. Drew was coming after Roman and all those guys. It always revolved around Roman. Now Roman's out. So he's not going to be there, and he's not in the title picture. That's what's going on right now. So I don't think it's purposely by design. We're going to limit everybody right here. I just think that that's where we are in this situation of professional wrestling. I understand what Bully Ray's trying to say there. I don't think he's being a hater. I think it's true. Right now, we don't have that one guy or girl that is bigger than wrestling right now, or that's legitimate superstar. There's just a bunch of bodies. There are some bigger than others, but there's just a bunch of bodies. That's just where it is right now.
I will say this: the toxicity that one king at the top can bring to the backstage area, to the locker room, when Austin and Rock, they say it all the time. Taker says it all the time, like, oh, there was guys with knives and drugs, and we were doing this and doing that. Now the guys are just playing video games and chilling. And I think a lot of the old timers don't like that. And these guys aren't as competitive. Yeah. Like there was a report, which is not true, but there was a report out there going, Will Ospreay is like, I don't want to win this match. I want Hanger to win it. And Hanger's like, no, I
Oh,
don't
I did
deserve
see
this
that
match.
report. I did see that.
But that's how they're all friends now. They're all just want to be buddy buddy. They know it's an act. Like they know because they're all guaranteed money. That's the problem. If you want to get down to the bottom of it, they're all on guaranteed contracts. So nobody has to draw, nobody has to sell, nobody has to draw, nobody has to. You can be like Dominic Mysterio could be eating chicken nuggets from the next hot chick for the rest of the 10 years, for the next decade. The next hot chick from NXT, just put him a Dom, he'll eat chicken nuggets, and he's chilling because he's making guaranteed money. You don't have to be the top of the card to make that money anymore. You don't get that WrestleMania main event check anymore.
But
so what's the incentive to do that?
Again, that's personal ambition because CM Punk, right? He's a part of that dying era that's about to be once he's gone and John Cena's gone. That's going to be what it is. Exactly, DSG. Because CM Punk, whether it's even playing field or not, obviously there are guys who are paid way more than the others because they're up there. Roman Reigns get paid more than a lot of people. Cody Rhodes. Right. CM Punk still wants that main event. He wants a main event WrestleMania. That's his goal. I'm sure Dominic Mysterio wants to be the WWE champion. He wants to be on with his dad's level. Those personal goals. Now, I think when they say, they go and you'll have some Mark or IWC, they go, oh, it's fake, bro. Why do they really care? But you have guys saying, man, if you're in this business if you're anything in this business other than being the world champion, you shouldn't be in it. Because even the tag team guys, the tag team divisions, even the skinniest guy, Zach Gowen or that other dude with no neck, who used to hang around with Carmella, forgetting his name right now. What's his name? Damn.
The guy with no chin, you mean?
No chin. Sorry. No chin.
Gosh, I can't think of his name right now either.
AJ Styles called Dominic that one time. I'm trying to remember.
No, not Enzo.
Not Enzo.
The guy who won the Money in the Bank for Carmella, and he was only there because he was in a squash match with Braun Strowman, and they gave him a contract because of that one facial expression in that match he had with Braun Strowman.
Yeah,
what was his name?
Not Neville.
Oh my goodness!
It's not Neville. It's he had like comb back hair, short. He had no chin.
He was with Carmella forever.
Yeah, he wore little black tights, no chest, it was bird chest. Oh my gosh, what's his name, dude? God. Anyway, my point is, I mean, is those guys, even though, you look at them, you go, okay, those are just, enhancement talents or whatever you want to call them. They want to be the WWE. They should be not Gilbert. Gilbert was the other one, right? Even Gilbert, they want that rub. They want to be that. They want to be able to call themselves that. But think about Bret Hart. Bret Hart was so into being the WWE champion, being the best. And they were like, it's just a work, bro. Like Kevin Nash, there you go. Kevin Nash will say that. Kevin Nash will crap on this current talent pool for that reason. But at the same time, he was that guy that would say, like Bret Hart was hardcore into, man, I want to be the world champion. I'm not going to drop it to Shawn Michaels. Why won't Hogan drop it to me? Hogan, oh, boo-hoo. Blah, blah. He would always get into it. And Kevin Nash would be like, brother, it's a work, right? Like, I'm just here to make money. That wasn't Bret Hart. Bret Hart, you could have paid Bret Hart $100 if you gave him the title. James Ellsworth. There it is. James Ellsworth. Thank you. But if you were to give Bret Hart $100, but you said you're going to be the WWF champion, he would have been happy. Because that's all that freaking mattered, right? But it's I don't know how much of that is left in wrestling currently. Cody Rhodes, he came back to WWE for one reason, to do what his dad never did, and that was to win the WWE championship, which he's done. But right now, when he was the champion before he won the title and after he won the title, he was the biggest thing in wrestling. It's it's so much so that it annoyed you, and it is what it is. But at the same time, he is. Right now, he's not. And right now, when you're looking at wrestling, there's not that one guy where you're like, I hope he's on here today. I'm waiting for him to show up. He's going to be in the main event. He's going to be that. There's not that guy. Nobody's there like that right now in WWE or in the wrestling, but in WWE. And not even AEW, because there's nobody I'm going to watch AEW for this guy. It's just what it is. I'm not crapping. What?
Will Ospreay.
Oh, get out of here with that guy. Come on.
I would. Bro.
No, bro. No. Because bro, I'll tell you why that's not true. Because if it was, you never would stop watching AEW. If you knew what Will Ospreay was, for me, like as much as, and I'm just speaking, you know, when wrestling, when WCW was at its lowest point, where it was like, what the hell is this with Vince Russo, whomever, you know, the difference. If I knew Hogan and Sting or what those guys were on, I'm going to watch that show. Oh no, bro, Booker T versus Jeff Jarrett tonight for the World Championship. I'm not watching that. I started watching WWF. Hogan, Goldberg, Sting, they're on there. Macho Man, I'm watching. I don't give a damn. I'm going to watch that. Oh, but no, give the younger guys a chance. What happened when those little guys took over? It totally died out. You know, so, you know, oh, Will Ospreay. Well, if Will Ospreay's that big, then their numbers would be just as good. Or people who are watching AEW, who fell in love with AEW and were hyping it up, would still be on it right now. There's nobody in wrestling right now that's taking it by the reins.
And I don't think there ever will be, because there's too much entertainment. There's too much going on. I will be dead ass serious with everybody in this room. I watch more YouTube television on my television than I do professionally Hollywood stuff. I watch more content creator stuff than I do real TV stuff. And I think that's a lot of people these days, because I see all your comments, CSG. So therefore, I don't think they're just going to be. Let me ask you this. I don't watch movies these days. Who's the Tom Cruise? Who's the young stud movie actor that's taken over Hollywood? Who is it? I haven't heard of him yet. Who is it? Who's the next funny guy? Who's the next Seth Rogen? Haven't seen him yet either. You know what I mean? We're in a world where there isn't just that anymore. Who's putting out the comedy specials like Eddie Murphy did? Who is that guy or girl? There's none. They don't exist anymore. We're in a society where there's too much happening for anyone. The only person that rules the media these days, or rules the news, is our idiot president. And that's about it. And I would say that about any president, because they're all idiots. But let's be honest.
But you live into this one. I would say that about everybody, except talking about this one. Whoa, okay, well.
All of them, honestly. I don't vote. So I can't really vote. Anyway, that's besides the point. I did vote this year. I voted for Cody Rhodes. And that's a proof. That's not a word, brother. I did that.
America.
The only but for real though, guys, like who is the big star of America? Who is, besides Taylor Swift and music?
Well, right now,
right?
Tom Cruise, right? I mean, I don't watch his shit, but it's Tom Cruise. He's all over. He's all over. Mission Impossible. I told my wife the other day, I'm like, my goodness, every time I turn around, it's something Tom Cruise. You know, he's eating popcorn, talking to, staying after a show, talking to a bunch of staff employees of a theater, and you know, they're really pumping him up and you know, selling him and all this whatnot. So I guess it has to be Tom Cruise. But I'm with you. I don't think there is not one guy or girl who's the it person right now. I don't know. I could be, not even Robert Downey. Not right now. Not Robert Downey Jr.
I don't know if I'm lagging. I think I am. Am I still frozen?
A little. No, you're not frozen anymore, but you are lagging, but it's okay. I mean, or you're dragging a little bit, but nothing bad.
Okay. I do want to say this before we log off. We grew up in an era where, what's that show where they sang? What's the show where they sang? And these judges judged them. And Kelly Clarkson won it.
Oh, American Idol.
American Idol was like the biggest thing in the world, right? You watched The Weakest Link, or the show with Howie Mandel, where there's a bunch of briefcases. We grew up in this era where people were watching this television stuff. And it was like, oh, did you see Howie? Oh, did you see what Simon had to say? There's so much television going on. We can talk about, oh, did you watch Succession? Oh, no, but I watched a show with Guy on Apple TV. Oh, everybody's so spread out. There's never going to be a big star anymore, period. In any medium. It's just the way we're heading. It's just the way we're heading.
But I get that. And you could be right. That's kind of where it has to be. Now, again, I think wrestling is the venue where that could happen, that you could still, because Roman Reigns is right there. He was right there. Obviously, he's in the back end of his career. He's probably going to go into TV or movies. Eventually, Cody Rhodes is going to go into movies. He's already talked about it. He's trained as an actor. That's why I never buy any of that crying crap when he's, does this whole thing with his face. But it is what it is. But he was right there too. But if you look at it, if CM Punk is on the back end, so he can't be. If you're looking at it, there's like, is there that one guy currently that could be that guy, or that girl who could be that girl? Right now, no, there is no one. I'm not talking about the CM Punks, the Codys, or the Romans. We know what they could do. We know what they could be. But there's nobody on the roster currently that I could say, oh, he could be the next true Roman Reigns, John Cena, Hogan type of guy. There's no, or girl. There's nobody there right now that could do that. Because it's a different thing that, hey, he has the hype machine behind him. He has the crowd. Jey Uso is the hottest thing in wrestling when it comes to live arenas, right? But, when you're watching the match, you're not really, there's no real, like, because I don't want to say he could wrestle, and it's fine, but like, go back to like The Rock. The Rock knows how to work a crowd. He knows how to do like it before, during, and after a match. Hogan's not Bret Hart in the ring. Bret Hart is a scientist in the ring, right? He makes it believable in the ring. He makes it look like it hurts. He tackles one move. Ric Flair, very entertaining in a match. Hogan never did that. Hogan wasn't that scientist, right? Couldn't do that. But what it can do was get you interested in the match by telling the story of the match. Get his ass kicked, bam, 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 makes the comeback here. Oh, crowd goes crazy. I don't care that he did 4 or 5 moves. We still love it. We're going nuts. He puts the flag in it. You know what I mean? You don't have that guy. In order to have that, you might need the total package, because Roman Reigns and even Cody, they are total packages. They are, they're great in the mic. They're great entertainers, but in the ring, they put up killer matches and they gotta have fun. That's true. And I don't hate Jey for that. I love Jey Uso. I'm a huge fan. I'm excited that he's the champion. I want a Yeet shirt. I'm all for Yeet. I'm all for Jey Uso. But his entrance, his charisma, his mic skills have gotten a lot better. Let's give him that. His promos have been way better. His matches lack a little bit, though. That's what that is.
Listen, we're going to end it with this. My final statement on the situation. MJF is the total package. He's waiting in the wing, ready for WWE contract. I can't wait for that to happen.
Who's that? I'm so sorry. I didn't hear that part. Who was it?
MJF.
Okay. Yeah. MJF. Okay. That's fair. Okay.
I think he is the future of professional wrestling once he gets to the WWE. But listen, this whole situation, this whole topic is the aftermath of the Vince era, the Vince PG era, where everything was scripted. Wrestlers weren't allowed to think on their feet. Wrestlers could not go off script. Wrestlers were not allowed to control the environment. Wrestlers were told to do what they were supposed to do. And if you went off script, no matter how stupid it was, whether you came out with an oversized large sword, cutting ropes, or you're carrying around a little cage with a mechanical spider in it, that's what Vince had these people doing. And now we're seeing the aftermath, where Charlotte can't react. Jey Uso can't cut a promo. Now he's getting better. We're seeing a lot of that. So hopefully with this new Triple H era, him giving the freedom, which I think they are all getting freedom to say what they want on the mic and do things they want to do. Just look at the triple threat match we have with Chad Gable, Penta, and Dragon Lee. Would that happen in the Vince era? No. But it's happening in this era. So hopefully these new wrestlers can build up, can think on their own, and become natural like The Rock and Stone Cold were. And hopefully we have a better future for these wrestlers.
What is up with Ric Flair?
He's an idiot, just like our president.
What?
Woo!
Woo! So the reason why I saw that, because I'm going to read something very quick, but I saw something else. It says, so if you can't take a joke from a 70-year-old, then you're living life too seriously. It was harmless, lighthearted fun, trying to make people laugh. Jim Ross will always be Jim Ross, seeking attention. Focus on your recovery, JR. If you can't take a joke. So maybe he was making that a joke. Maybe he's friends with Jim Ross now. I know he was mad at Jim at one point. But he saw this, and I want to read this because I thought that was funny. He puts, consent is everything. Woo! And he made a whole thing. He writes, the Rue Compromise. By signing this compromise, both parties involved agreed to ride Space Mountain and engage in sexual relations on this night. This contract adheres to guidelines of informed consent, and both people in the relationship must be present and not in an intoxicated state before signing. No party should be pressured or persuaded into something that they do not want to do. and they reserve the right to terminate the contract if need be. The contract has been signed and sealed approval of the Nature Boy Ric Flair, who has taken many women for a ride on Space Mountain, has the utmost respect for women. Adult 1, 18 and older. Adult 2, say, Jesus. What is the Nate doing? Go to bed. Chill out. What the hell are you doing, bro?
Get off social media, bro. Just live your life as a grandpa or whatever you got to do.
My gosh. Anyway. But yeah, so anything else before we wrap this up?
No, man, that's it, man. I'm gonna let you sign us off here, but I heard you got a new catchphrase you're working on. Want to hear it?
You're a prick. Yeah, we're gonna try something new. You know, I could go woo, just end it because I got a good woo. But and Josh is forcing me to do this, you know. But
no, let it come natural, bro. I don't want to be Vince here. I don't want to be the Vince of the show. Although I must. Should I die this?
You got the mustache. You got the mustache. But Big Papa Pump is your hookup. Holla if you hear me.